Most people live their whole lives in that space between thinking and doing, caught in a cycle of almost ready, maybe tomorrow, and just not yet. They tell themselves they'll start when they feel more confident, when things calm down, when the timing is perfect. But here's the hard truth: that moment you're waiting for will never come, not because it doesn't matter, but because it isn't real. Action doesn't come after clarity. Clarity comes after action. Every time you hesitate, you're teaching yourself to settle. You're training your mind to back away from the edge, to retreat into what's familiar. But comfort is the silent killer of greatness. It whispers lies that feel like truth. You're not ready, you're not good enough, what if you fail? And so you stay still, not because you don't want to grow, but because your brain is wired to protect you even from the very thing that would save you. That's the trap, and the worst part: you know you're capable of more. Deep down, under all the noise, all the distractions, and all the doubt, you can feel it. That quiet pressure in your chest when you see someone doing what you wish you had the courage to do. That spark of frustration when you talk yourself out of another opportunity. That heaviness that comes from knowing you're not living at your full power. You were not born to sit on the sidelines of your own life. And if you're listening to this, then part of you already knows that. You've had glimpses, moments of fire. You've imagined a version of yourself who takes action, who doesn't hesitate, who moves through fear instead of waiting for it to go away. That version of you, it's not a fantasy, it's not a dream, it's a direction, a destination, but you'll never reach it unless you start walking toward it now. There's a reason most people never change. It's not because they can't, it's because change costs something. It requires discomfort, sacrifice, risk, and that's what your brain resists. Not change itself, but the unknown that comes with it. That's why you scroll. That's why you plan instead of act. It feels safer to dream than it does to do, but the truth is, every second you wait, you're building the habit of waiting. Your potential doesn't expire, but your time does. And the longer you postpone your purpose, the louder regret becomes. One day the clock will run out, the chances will be gone, and all you'll have left are the memories of who you could have become. If only you had started. That reality should terrify you more than any fear of failure ever could. But here's the hope, and it's real. Everything can change, not next week, not next year, today. Because the gap between the life you have and the life you want isn't luck, or talent, or circumstances. It's action, consistent, messy, uncomfortable action. It doesn't matter if you're scared. It doesn't matter if you don't feel ready. What matters is that you move, because movement creates momentum, and momentum turns doubts into decisions. The mind follows the body. When you act, your brain adapts. When you push, your fear shrinks. Every small win rewires your belief system, not just in what's possible, but in who you are. You stop seeing yourself as someone who waits. You start becoming someone who builds, and that shift, that's everything. So ask yourself, how much longer will you wait to feel ready? How many more days will you trade for comfort instead of growth? You already have what it takes. You've just been told for too long that you need more time. More proof, more permission, but you don't. You need one thing: a decision. And if you stay with this message, if you listen through to the end, you'll discover something powerful. You were never stuck. You were just paused, and the moment you decide to unpause, to push, to move, that's the moment everything starts to change. You won't feel ready. You don't have to. You just have to begin. Start now. And don't look back. But even as you begin to move, even as you take that first step, something creeps in: doubt, resistance, that voice in your head that says, what if this doesn't work? It's subtle, quiet, but powerful. It knows exactly where your insecurities live. It reminds you of your past failures. It makes the struggle feel heavier than it really is. And if you're not careful, it'll pull you right back into hesitation. This is the moment where most people quit, not because they're weak, but because they've never learned to fight back against their own mind. Your brain was designed to keep you safe. That means it craves familiarity. It resists anything that feels like risk. So when you try to break old patterns, your mind pushes back, not because you're broken, not because you're not meant for more, but because your brain is doing its job. The problem is that job will keep you small. unless you override it. And here's the key. Discomfort is not danger, it's growth. The fear you feel isn't a warning, it's a signal. It means you're stepping beyond what you know. It means you're reaching into territory where most people never go. And that's where transformation happens, not in comfort, but in the stretch. The resistance is proof that you're doing something meaningful, something real, because if it didn't matter, you wouldn't feel anything at all. But you will be tempted to stop. Your mind will beg for ease. Your body will want to rest. And this is where you make the decision that changes everything. Push not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because the pain of staying stuck is worse than the pain of moving forward. Because doing nothing hurts more than failing. And the truth is, the longer you delay, the heavier the weight becomes, not just in your body, but in your spirit. It eats at you quietly, slowly, until one day you don't even remember what it felt like to dream big. That's the cost of inaction. We are wired to seek purpose. Without progress, something inside you begins to shut down. Psychologists call it learned helplessness, the state where you start to believe your actions don't matter, that no matter what you do, nothing changes. But that's a lie, a dangerous one, because it convinces you to settle, to survive instead of live. And once you believe that lie, you stop trying, you stop fighting, you stop hoping. But you're not helpless, you never were. You've just been stuck in a cycle of hesitation. A loop where fear disguises itself as logic and procrastination pretends to be preparation. But that's not you anymore. You've woken up. You've seen what waiting costs, and now you have a choice. Keep living in reaction or take control of your direction. Everything you want, freedom, strength, confidence, it's on the other side of effort, real effort, the kind that leaves you exhausted but proud, the kind that scares you because it means you're all in, the kind that doesn't guarantee success but guarantees growth. That's where character is built, not when it's easy but when it's hard, when everything in you wants to quit and you choose to keep going. Because the real pain, it's not failure, it's regret. Regret is the silent punishment you feel when you know you didn't try, when you see what could have been and you realize you gave it away for nothing. For comfort, for safety, for silence, that's the weight you carry when you don't push through, not the weight of failure, but the weight of potential never used. But here's the truth, no matter how long you've waited, it's not too late. Every day is a new chance to rise, a new chance to act, to build habits that serve you, not hurt you, to train your mind to move, not stall, to choose discipline over impulse, power over passivity. You're not just chasing goals, you're becoming the kind of person who refuses to waste this life. So don't just try, commit. Don't just think, do. Don't just hope, push. You have more strength in you than you know. More grit, more power, but it's buried under years of hesitation. You don't need more time, you don't need more motivation. You need one thing: action again and again until it becomes who you are, and it will. Because you're not someone who gives up. You're someone who rises, someone who pushes even when it hurts, someone who refuses to settle for average. That's who you are becoming every time you act in the face of fear. Every time you move when you don't feel ready, every time you push no matter what. That's where transformation lives, not in wishing, not in waiting, but in action, always in action. You've made it this far because something in you refuses to stay quiet. Something inside is done settling. It's the part of you that doesn't care how tired you are, how many times you've failed, or how long it's taken. It only wants one thing: to become the person you were always meant to be. But wanting isn't enough. Everyone wants, everyone dreams. That doesn't make you different. What makes you different is what you do when it gets hard, when no one's watching, when you feel like quitting, when your mind starts whispering that it's pointless, that you're too late, that it won't work. This is where the transformation begins, not when it's easy, but when it's brutal, when you keep showing up anyway. Because action doesn't just change your life, it changes your identity. You stop being someone who hopes. You become someone who builds, who creates, who decides. That shift is everything, because once you believe that your effort matters, everything starts to move. Your goals stop feeling distant, your dreams stop feeling unrealistic. Why? Because now you're proving to yourself every single day that you are capable of showing up, pushing forward, and making progress, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. The world isn't waiting for more people who talk about what they want. It's waiting for people who do something about it, people who don't ask for permission, people who don't wait for signs. People who understand that life responds to movement, that progress is earned in the moments when you refuse to give in, and here's what most don't realize: discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Even when the motivation fades, because it will fade. Emotions rise and fall, but identity, that's built in the choices you repeat. If you choose strength today, you'll be stronger tomorrow. If you choose courage today, you'll be braver tomorrow. And if you keep choosing action day after day, eventually it becomes automatic. You won't have to force it. You'll just live it. That's the goal, not to rely on willpower, but to become the kind of person who does what must be done, no matter what. Because when your identity shifts, your standards rise. You stop tolerating excuses. You stop chasing comfort, you start chasing greatness, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are now, and you can feel it, can't you? That pull, that energy, the realization that your life is still unwritten. That every moment you choose discipline over distraction, action over avoidance, you are rewriting your story. You're proving to yourself and the world that you're not here to be average, you're not here to survive. You're here to rise, you're here to lead not just others, but yourself, because the hardest battle is the one you fight in your own head, the war between the voice that says keep going and the one that says give up. That's the battlefield. That's where strength is born, not in comfort zones, but in the fire of self-control, in the choice to keep moving forward even when everything in you wants to stop. And if you stay in that fire long enough, something incredible happens. You become unstoppable, not because you never fall, but because you always rise. Not because it's easy, but because you refuse to surrender. That's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. It's not talent, not intelligence, not luck. It's relentless action, the decision to show up every day whether you feel like it or not. So push yourself, not because someone else expects it, not because of pressure. Push because your future is worth it. Because the person you are becoming is counting on you. Because every time you move, you get closer, not just to your goals, but to your truth. And that truth is this: you are powerful, you are capable. And you are in control. You don't need more time. You don't need more chances. You need to look in the mirror and say, this is the day it changes. And not someday, not soon, now, because every second you delay, you feed the old version of you. But every time you act, you bring the new you to life. So stand up, push harder, keep going. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not later. This is the line you draw, the standard you set. The proof that you're no longer waiting for life to happen. You're making it happen, and if you keep pushing, if you refuse to quit, everything you thought was out of reach starts moving closer, one action at a time, one choice at a time, one push at a time. This is how it begins, this is how it continues, and this right now is how you rise.